What is up, guys? I hope you are doing well. This video is going to cover embarking and kind of what you should bring. Now, understand that it's going to depend on location you go to. This is just going to be a general, like, what you should bring. And honestly, nothing is set in stone. A lot of people have their own opinions on what you should bring. And this is just kind of to give a new player a sense of direction. I know as a new player for me with other games and things, I always like a sense of direction. Like, what should I do? What's good, what's not good, you know? And luckily with Dwarf Fortress, there's not a lot of wrong. And you can kind of pick whatever sounds good to a degree. But that may or may not make your game or your progress slower or harder. So first thing I want to say is you start with your people. You start with a bunch of items already. And these items here are more than enough to get you going. You don't even need anything else. This would be plenty. But obviously we're going to customize that. And we're going to kind of customize what kind of dwarves we need. So what I prefer with dwarves, you get 10 skills. And you can only get a skill up to level 5. Which level 5 is proficient. Now, I like to bring 3 miners. Because I am all about mining all the time. Always be mining. That's me. And I also, because I have 3 miners, I need another pick. So I bring a 3rd pick automatically too. Now, you could leave this and just have them at that. They're going to develop all these other skills. They will develop as game progresses. They'll do things. These other skills will develop. So what do you ask next? Well, next, we're going to need a woodcutter. So I just give him 5 in woodcutting because why not? Who cares? And I'm also going to give him carpentry at 5 as well. So he's going to be a woodcutter and a carpenter. So he's going to be pretty good. And then you ask, okay, so mining and woodcutting, we got 3 guys left. What now? Well, I like to have a farmer because honestly, if you don't start farming, you're probably going to have, I don't want to say a rough time because you can obviously farm underground and you can farm above ground in the caves. But getting a farm set up is crucial to sustainability in long term. Unless you can just pick plants and you want to hunt all the time. Some people would say, well, I want to get a hunter, which is fine. Get them a crossbow, get them bolts, they'll be set. Problem with the hunter is eventually they're going to aggro the wrong animal. They're going to go out and they're going to try to hunt a giant dingo. Okay? They're going to be like, oh, giant dingo, that's going to be a lot of food. And they're going to piss that giant dingo off, and that giant dingo is going to be agitated. And now it's going to come and kill everybody. So the problem with hunters is they can do more harm than good in the long term. In the short term, if you're just killing raccoons and squirrels and little animals and stuff, you probably will be okay. But eventually they tend to go above their grade and think they're cool. So it's kind of risky. But we want a farmer, so we want planter. We're going to do 3 planter, 3 brewer. Because we want our farmer to plant. We want them to make alcohol as well. Now, a lot of people, what they'll do with their farmer too is you can kind of give them other, you make them a butcher and stuff. But I think I'm just going to go 5 and 5. You don't have to get all these to 5. I'm kind of just only picking 2 or 3 or 1, skill. Because just simpler that way. You will want somebody, though. If you're not going to be hunting, fishing would be ideal. And I do recommend fishing over hunting to a degree. The only problem is your fisher could get attacked while he's out fishing, which is always, something to be concerned of. I go with a fisher dwarf, and I make him a competent fisher. And then what I like to do, we're just going to go all fisher on him. He's full fisher. And then we're going to give him some butchery. We're going to give him 2 butchery, because when he's not fishing, he's going to be butchering. And when he's not doing either one of those, he's pretty much set. He's looking good. Now we have our last guy. So we got 3 miners, a woodworker, a farmer, and a fisher. Our last guy, this can kind of be, these are kind of the essentials, and you don't even need 3 miners. Like I said, it's a preference I do. This guy, I like to kind of make him a general laborer, and I actually don't have a mason, which a mason is useful. So I'm going to give him 5 mason. And then he's also going to have a little bit of weaver, a little bit of herb, and that's about it. Which this is all kind of, you got ambusher, trapper. If you have a hunter, maybe teach them ambushing and trapping as well. Animal dissector. Oh, fish dissector actually be useful in the fish dwarf, I guess. We can do fish cleaner. Fish dissector, there we go. So, you can see there's a lot to tinker with and a lot of crazy things. I don't want to get too much into the dwarf skills. This video is going to be way longer than I want. So let's go over to the items. Now, like I said, you have everything you need. One thing, if you're ever unsure of what to bring, always bring more alcohol. Alcohol can never go wrong. I try to bring about 50 on my first run. 50. 100. So there's 100. You know, we have an anvil. You know, we have some turtles for food. We have some wombat sweetbread for meat. You know, we got all this stuff. We're looking good. Now, depending on where you settle, you might want more stuff. If you're in a dangerous area, you might want some weapons and armor right away. If you're in a pretty chill area, you can kind of mix it up. What I would recommend, though, is animals are definitely important. Getting a hunting dog or a dog and then training them to become a hunting dog is a good option. Cats will get rid of vermin and stuff. So if you bring a cat, they're going to get rid of, like, rodents and lizards and stuff that might get into your food and steal your food. But the problem with the cat sometimes is they leave the bodies there, and then you got to be removing these dead corpses of rats and stuff, and if you leave them too long, miasma can, you know, form and cause some problems. So cats will control pests, but you also got to kind of watch what they do and make sure they're getting cleaned up after. I'm a big fan of turkeys. I think turkeys give you leather. Turkeys are really cheap, as you can see. We could bring 4 hens and 1 gobbler, so they make babies. And that didn't even cost, that's 24 points. Like, or no, 30 points. Like, that's insane for what you get. So I like turkeys a lot. People also bring yaks. I mean, you start with a couple, bringing some yaks is good. Any kind of meat producing, you know, water buffalo, any of these are going to be good. Just make sure you pasture them. You know, you really don't have bad choices. It's kind of down to flavor and cost, but definitely bring animals. Like I said, I recommend turkeys, number 1, a hunting dog and a cat, and then you can kind of mix it up in between there. I could even bring more turkeys. And with items, like I said, maxing out your alcohol. Plump helmets are going to be your main source of farming, because they can be planted all year around. So I like to bring in a couple extra plump helmets, and I bring the spawn, which are basically the seeds. I bring a couple more of those. These other seeds can be planted. They don't grow every season. But make sure you have plump helmets if you do want to farm, which, like I said, I highly recommend you farm so you have a sustainable amount of drink or food, because you're going to need it, especially when your fort gets bigger. The more people in your fort, the more consumption that's going on, which can always lead to problems down the line. And everything else is, I mean, it's crazy how preference it is. There really is no, like, right or wrong. Get some training weapons if you want to train people. You know, you don't need to bring gyms or any of that stuff because you're going to create your own. That's just, they're so expensive, and you can cut your own. And, I mean, you'd bring them to sell to traders is why you would have them to begin with, or make your dwarves really fancy. Maybe some extra clothing for your dwarves, too. I know they come with some basic clothing, but if you want to bring some, like, nice fancy leather clothing and stuff, you can do that. Toys for the kiddos, you know, instruments, drinks. One trick you can do is if you want barrels and you don't want to bring barrels, you can bring 1 of each cheese, which still works. I bring 1 of each cheese, and that's going to give me a barrel for each cheese. Now, normally a barrel, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to find it. Wood? That's just wood. Normally a barrel is more expensive than that. There we go, barrel. Barrels are 10 points. And you just get the barrel. So the fact that I get the barrel and I get cheese kind of works out. And also you can make the cheese into really good food. So you get, like, really good food and a free barrel, basically. So that's really neat to get more barrels if you want. But at the end of the day, it's just going to come down to what you prefer and where you're at. You wouldn't believe how everything they give you is set and it's good. And then it just depends where you're going and what your plan is, like what you want. An extra anvil is always nice too if you want, because that will help with make the dwarves happy, help you get another shop up. Because you need anvils to do like a metalsmith, things like that. Or if you're going to be in an area with less wood, bringing more wood would be helpful. But I could ramble on about the ifs and what to bring and what not to bring all day. But the fact of the matter is, get the essentials, kind of analyze your situation, take the time to read through the stuff, and you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. This video went on longer than I wanted. Any questions or comments you have, feel free to drop them below. If you enjoy these types of little quick advice, tips, guides, let me know, and I plan to make more, hopefully. I appreciate any and all feedback. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Later, guys. Peace.